Welcome to FitBody Lifestyle, the show where we dive deep into the world of fitness, health, business, relationships, and the art of living a balanced life. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Greg, and we're here to give you the benefit of our experiences in the fitness and bodybuilding industry, the corporate world, running a business, personal development, and building healthy relationships.
Whether you're sweating it out in the gym, hustling in your business, or seeking balance in your everyday life, you're in the right place.
So lace up those sneakers, grab that water bottle, and let's get ready to transform our minds, our bodies, and our lives. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fusion Hacks. And today we're going to talk about a very timely topic because it is cold and flu season. So the topic today is I'm sick. What do I do now? We get this question quite a bit, especially in this time of year. And I know a lot of people are afraid that, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my gains if I get sick. So let's talk about, first of all, do you get that question, Jamie?
Every day I get that question. And, you know, I think that it's interesting that we do get into this situation where we feel like, oh my gosh, if I take a day off, I'm going to just lose everything. And, you know, the first thing we want to do is put your mind at ease. You're not going to lose all your gains. And in some cases, taking a little bit of rest actually can have benefits when you come back to the gym. Of course, you know, depending on how long you've had to take off, you might get a little bit more sore and, you know, have to kind of work back up to things again, depending on how sick you were. But this is part of life.
Right. And maybe that's the bluff or the bottom line up front is that you are not going to lose your gains. You may not progress as quickly that time of your sickness, and you may gain a little weight, you may lose a little weight, you may lose a little muscle. That may happen. But when we talk about, am I going to lose my gains? Like that implies some permanency to losing your gains, which is just simply not going to happen. So let's talk about the tips for people. The first one I think is rest, right? So why is that? I mean, I think it's kind of stupid to even say that, but then again, I don't know. Maybe it's not stupid. So why is rest so important?
Well, rest is where we recover. And even if we're not sick, you know, rest is a crucial part of staying well in general, of recovering. When we're in the gym, we're tearing our muscles down, you know, having adequate rest and recovery is really important no matter what. But when we're sick, our bodies are fighting that illness. So we need to have adequate rest so that the body has the energy to put towards fighting this off, so we minimize the amount of time in the illness. And I'm sure many people have had the situation where they didn't listen to their body, they didn't stop and rest, and instead what ended up happening is they either got more sick or they prolonged the illness longer than maybe it would have otherwise had they just given themselves a little bit of downtime. So listening to the body is really crucial.
And I always say, listen to your body, but also heed its message. Your body may be talking to you all the time, but if you're not listening to the message, then you're going to just do the things that are going to either prolong or aggravate an illness. And because your body is compromised, you may not just aggravate an illness, you may not just prolong an illness, but you may introduce an injury to your body because it is compromised and it's not at its optimal operating condition. So rest is important. And I think, you know, going back to that, it's important to realize that you don't grow in the gym. You grow after the gym. I mean, that's the time when you feed the body and everything. So that's, I think, a good first stop. So the second thing is fluids. Fluids would be important.
Fluids are really important. And, you know, obviously it's also, you know, taking into account what's going on. If there's vomiting, if there's, you know, diarrhea, things like that, then even more so making sure you're getting electrolytes and things like that. But in general, you want to make sure you're staying hydrated when you're sick. That's going to be really important. It's important to stay hydrated anyway, but, you know, even more so if we're sick, and especially if we're having some of these, you know, types of things that I described.
And now the kind of maybe the hot button topic is supplementation. And I'll caveat this by saying, look, we are not healthcare professionals. We are not licensed. We are not going to tell you what to take. We can tell you what we have personally taken that has been successful, and just some thoughts around supplementation. But how would you guide people there?
Absolutely. So I feel like vitamin D is really one of the cornerstones of making sure our immune system is healthy. So if you're not already taking vitamin D3, that's something I would definitely consider. Do a little bit of research on. Of course, we always encourage people to get blood work done so you can check your vitamin D levels at that point, and that helps you gauge how much your body needs. When you're getting sick, if you can add a bit more than usual, that can actually give a little bit of an immune boost. It's a fat-soluble vitamin, so it's not something you want to take too much of, but that little bit of extra boost, I'd say kind of in general, on average, about 5,000 IUs when you're not sick, and then 10,000 if you start feeling like you're getting sick, and then back it back down once you're feeling better.
And zinc, I think, is also something that we have had good success with, and elderberry is another one that we've had success with. So vitamin C, vitamin D, elderberry, zinc, that's kind of I would say, the go-to for us personally. And find out what works best for you. There are other home remedies out there, but there's also a lot of people telling you what works for them. And be cautious about that, because some people will tell you that certain substances are great, and they may be great for that person, but they may not be great for you.
And check with your physician. Yep. That's one of the first things I tell.
That's point number 4. Right.
And that's one of the first things I tell the athletes when they tell me they're getting sick. A lot of times if we know it's just it's a cold and, we're familiar and that kind of thing, but if there's a sore throat, you want to rule out strep throat, things like that. You also want to know whether or not you're contagious, and let's be respectful of each other. If we're contagious, let's not go to the gym and share it with the rest of the world. I think that's really important too.
Well, we'll pause on that. So, let's stick on that. What would be the contraindications of going to the gym?
Oh, contraindication. Yeah. So typically what I'll tell people is if there's a fever or body aches or just you're very lethargic, then that would be the signal to stay out of the gym. Obviously, if you're coughing, sneezing, those kinds of things, because then you're spreading germs as well.
Right.
But in terms of, knowing whether or not you can, usually like towards the end of a cold or something like that, you might have just a little bit of lingering congestion or something like that, but you don't really have the fever or any of those things anymore. And if you're not contagious, then that's a good time. And if you are still contagious, but you're feeling good, maybe that's a matter of training at home or going and getting steps in, maybe a little outdoor cardio if it's nice enough, that kind of thing.
And be very careful with upper respiratory infections in particular, because you may feel okay, but if your breathing is compromised, it puts a very significant load on your cardiovascular system, your pulmonary system, your lungs, your heart. So just be mindful of that. So as we go down these 4 things, the first one is rest. Second one is fluids. Third is supplementation. And we talked about our go-tos, which are vitamin C and D, zinc and elderberry. And number 4 is consult your doctor. The other thing that we would add to this before we sign off on this is just be aware of the mindset around sickness, because it can produce a little bit of depression. And you may think, oh my God, I'm undoing everything I did in the gym. Listen, it's not the gym isn't going anywhere. The stage isn't going anywhere if you want to compete. So just manage that mental aspect of it, and just know that the recovery and the rest that you're getting, going to the first thing, may ultimately produce gains on the other side. And we see that all the time of people who actually take the time to recover, go back in the gym, they get stronger, their body is better. Oftentimes the sickness can be initiated by your body's reaction to overloading it from other things, because it's compromised from heavy activity and everything, and you may be more susceptible to it. So getting that rest really helps.
Right. And then the one other thing I wanted to bring up is the nutrition piece, because I think a lot of people have a question about that. If they're not training, should they cut their food, that kind of thing. Again, this is going to depend on what's going on with you. So if there's nausea, vomiting, those kinds of things, sometimes you need to lay off the food. So listening to your body in that particular case, if you're not having any of those types of issues, then I would still prioritize your protein. Your body needs that for healing. Still eat your food. I mean, you don't need to go to the extremes of, starving yourself because, oh no, I'm not getting to the gym, so now I need to not eat. Your body still needs the food in order to heal. So I would encourage people, prioritize protein, go ahead and eat, unless, of course, like we talked about, it's a stomach flu or something like that. And then sometimes the body needs a little bit of break from food.
So as we wrap this up here, we just want to let everybody know that if you have questions for us, or if you have ideas or topics that you'd like us to cover on a Fusion hack or on a full episode, you can DM us at FitBody Fusion on Instagram, or you can send us an email if you're not on Instagram at info@fitbodyfusion.com. Thank you for tuning in. Be good to yourself. Take care of yourself and
Stay well.
Stay well.
Thank you for tuning in to FitBody Lifestyle. We hope today's episode has left you feeling motivated and equipped to tackle your fitness goals, business challenges, and the daily dance of life. Remember to value progress over perfection. Life's tough enough alone. Find the chosen family around you to help you along the way.
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite streaming platform. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at FitBody Fusion.